everyone, welcome to another week in our garden. It's a lovely overcast cold day, but at least it's dry. We have a cutting wind coming across the fields, but we'll sort that out later on. First thing I want to show you is the new doors on the greenhouse. We have finished them. Diane's painted them for me. I've just got the handle to put on now and a fastener to hold it to in the window. Here they are, pair of doors, look. And then I put the strip on to keep the draft out when it's really cold. But they'll do. Probably put the handle on later today, provided it doesn't get too cold. Let's go inside and we'll show you what we've done. It's a lot warmer in here, though I have got the vents open at the top. Now I've brought all the overwintered stock, fuchsias and geraniums, etc. up from the bottom greenhouse, and those ones you can see are not quite so far on. They're the ones we've actually kept in the shed. As you can see, the rooted cuttings are doing well now. They might need potting on, but we'll try and hold them as long as we can. There they are. These are the rest of the rooted cuttings. I haven't watered them since I brought them up, but they will get a drink today, and I'll need to take some of these flowers off. But once we get a flower on, we can just drop a label in to see what colour the flowers are, which could help when we're doing the planting out. I'm going to link these two benches together, but I need to keep them separate, as in 3 benches, so when I come to put the tomatoes in, I can just take those benches straight out and they're not too heavy and cumbersome to get out the door. We'll go down to the shed. I think we'll take some rosemary cuttings today. The rosemary's looking good, though it's presenting well and it's started to grow, so we'll get 10 cuttings off. It's a lot warmer in this shed than it is out there. That wind, very, very cold. Now we were going to put the broad beans in today, which looking at the chart, they were going on plot C just there, but it's very, very exposed down there, so we'll just leave that for a day or two. We will pick it up on camera next time when we do it, but that's where we'll be putting them, just there. We'll probably do that and plant those, and we'll film them in a day or so when this wind's calmed down a little bit. From the east again, the east wind is very, very cold on this garden. Now while we're here, we'll just have a look at the seed potatoes to see how they're sprouting, sprutting or chitting, whatever you like to call them, to show you how they're getting on. They're doing very well. As you can see, they're just showing a nice little bit of growth, and it's all coloured growth, it's not white. If it was white, they tend to stretch a lot. They're doing very nicely. They're nice and cool, and they're spot on time for as soon as that ground gets up to 10 degrees, these will go in. Have a quick look at the bakupa cuttings and show you how the lavender's getting. I've taken these out the propagators now. Propagators, I've only got the cucumbers in. They're doing fine, but I don't want to get too much in the propagators because next week we're only 2 weeks off April now, so we really need to start putting this next main batch of seed in. But we'll do that next week. Here is the bakupa. It's all rooted down now. We'll take it down to the bottom greenhouse and let it sit for a week, and then we'll pop them into liners, and then they'll be ready for using in this year's bedding displays. The lavender, it's standing well, quite pleased with that. It's actually putting on a bit of growth. There's no root there's no root showing in the bottom of the pot yet, so we'll leave those up here in the prop. It's not on, but it'll just keep them warmish while the root down. To take them down to the greenhouse, it gets a little bit cool in there at night yet. Now this week I'm going to take some rosemary cuttings. It's presenting well now. Now the cutting we're taking is off a tip cutting. Now just below this on the plant you'll see that it'll be starting to flower. So it flowers on next year's wood, if you know what I mean. So this year's flowers are there, lovely and blue, and then this is the new growth that we want to use for the cutting. It's the same or very similar to the lavender cutting we did, where you've got this nice new growth at the top and a little bit of woody growth at the bottom, and that's where we'll take the cut just on that woody bit just down there. Same as before. They smell absolutely gorgeous, these two. So we're going to take the little branches and leaves off the side, just like that, look. And then you can just see the older stem there, look, and the new growth up there. And then we'll cut just below the node, like we normally do. Quite woody these, so you have to press quite hard with your knife. And if sharp knife, be careful. Little bit of water, little bit of powder on it, and then into very, very open compost, like we do all our cuttings. So it drains quite well, and we'll do those 4, and that'll do for these. You only want 10 of these. I've got loads of rosemary in the garden. It's I do like it, and it attracts the bees. The bees absolutely love it, and they're starting to come into flower now early, which is good for them as well. There's not a lot flowering. Just cut that off. There you go. And you can't have roast lamb without rosemary on it. Two more. As I say, just part them with your fingers, look, and then makes it easier for cutting off. I think we'll just leave that one there and cut that off there. Look. There you go. It's a nice cutting, that one. And if you put them in the propagator, they should root in 2 to 3 weeks. You'll have a nice little plant. We'll be able to plant these out this year, and they will flower next spring. So we just take those off, look, same as before. This one, just take one side off, I think, just to ease it a bit. That's okay. And then cut that off. A little bit of water. There you are, tap. Then it goes. Try not to push them in too far, and make sure they're well firmed in, because there's no air around the bottom, so that they'll root quicker. Now that's 10 rosemary cuttings. I do have a lot of rosemary in the garden, but I know Gemma will want some to put in her garden, because she likes to use it for culinary uses as well. And the flowers are beautiful, the insects love them. And I've 1 or 2 people that will soon take those away once they're rooted. It'd probably be summer before they're ready, but it'd be a nice bushy plant. Now we are coming in, I've said before, 2 weeks from April we need to be seriously thinking about putting some seed in. So I'll just show you some of the seeds I'm going to put in. There might be a few more that haven't arrived yet, but I'm sure they'll arrive soon. So we'll show you what we've got, and then we'll go down to that bottom greenhouse and have a look down there. Now these are some of the seeds I'm going to put in this week. There's quite a few more, especially flowers. Everybody seems to have given me flowers this year, so we'll have a colourful vegetable garden this year, hopefully. I'm starting to put some of the main crop seed in so I don't have a big rush of all the plants want potting on at once. We've got quite a bit to pot, which I'll show you shortly, but I'll just show you what we're going to put in first. Right, the sweet corn there, that's the yellow one. We do have 3 varieties of sweet corn. Now I'll have to plant those in 3 different clumps so that they don't cross-pollinate. If they cross-pollinate, then they'll go starchy. Some nice cauliflower there, that's Triumph. We grow that every year. It's a lovely cauliflower. The celeriac, we'll be alright with celeriac so long as we don't let it get cold. If it gets cold, below 10 degrees Celsius, it will run straight to seed. Parsnips, I'm going to direct sow those this year. Put them in all the seed in, because the seed doesn't keep, so we'll put all those in and then we'll thin them down later if they all come up. Carrots, they are 95, I believe. Good early carrot, they'll do well. Again, I'm going to direct sow them straight into a prepared bed. Sweet peppers, now I've already got sweet peppers, especially the yellow ones, up, but I want some for the autumn, so I'm going to set those now. Now they're being potted on, we'll set again. A little bit of beetroot there, we'll pot that up. And we'll grow that in trays, then transfer it to the garden. It does transfer it quite well. And now I've got some white strawberries that somebody sent me. I'll have to try those. That's very small seed, but we'll get those scattered on top of some compost and see if we can get them up. Be interesting to see what they come like. And loads of flowers. Somebody's given me most of these, and my granddaughters are involved, as you can see. I've got loads of flower seed to put in this year, so that's going to fill the propagator up as well. But we'll put them in and we'll put them down with the vegetables, and the insects will absolutely adore them. Now we'll go down to the bottom greenhouse and I'll show you how we're getting on down there. Right, we've come down to the bottom greenhouse. It's a lot warmer in here. It is 23 degrees Celsius in here, and there's no sun today, so we must have had a little bit come through to get the temperature that high. Now, if you remember, all the overwintered stock is now in the top greenhouse. Made all this room and I've laid the trays out. Now I'll get the pots potted up so we can pot straight into them. Now we're going to have a potting weekend this weekend, once I get all the trays filled so we can get on with them. I'll just show you what we've got to pot up. I won't go through each one, but there's lots of tomatoes, lots of peppers, there's leeks, there's celery, tomatoes, cauliflowers ready. These are the lettuce, what we're doing. I want to put those into a long tray, but I had nowhere to put them, so now we can get those put into long trays as well, and we'll use those, cut and come again. Now everything else is doing nicely down here. The sweet peas are breaking nicely, as you can see. I perhaps will have to tie these up sometime at the weekend. Just put a maxi tapener band round and just hold them steady. There's some Those stocks we put in, they're all up. They just want splitting. I'll take them out of the sow and just split them in half and plant them in groups. It looks a lot better then. The Brussels sprouts are standing well. As soon as they get a little bit bigger, I'll start hardening those up. Then we'll put a tunnel up and we'll have those out and get them growing outdoors. Now, a friend of mine didn't manage to get their garlic in, so I said I've got some bulbs left, so I'll split one off and I'll pop them in some pots for you and then keep them in the greenhouse, and then they'll catch up, and they're doing rather well. These were just split and potted up 10 days ago, and they really have come along. Now they will need a little period of cold, so what I'm going to do today, in fact I'll do it next, is I'll put them as they are into the cold frame outside so they get that cold period. I'm just going to pop these down the side of these broad beans. See, they're standing well now, but it's too cold for us, I think, out there more than the beans. They have been in there for 2 weeks now, perfectly hard. In this side there's some strawberry plants. I don't know if you can remember, we took the we did the layering, and they're the plants that were layered. They're doing quite well. It's nice to be back in, even though the sun's shining. That east wind, oh, it is cold here. Now, as you can see, we're going to have a busy weekend. We will then show you when everything's potted up, and hopefully we'll be able to get the seed in, so we've got the system working well. As nice as it is, we must start the main set very soon. So that'll be it for this week. Thanks for being with us. Thank you for watching. And many thanks for those people who have subscribed. We do appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you next week.